Good morning and welcome on board the Morning Express here on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. My name is Sage Babalola. It is the 8th day in the month of October 2024. It's about 42 minutes past 7 a.m. here in the city of Lagos, and we are more than happy to have you join us as always as we talk about the state of the nation, sort of provide you with information that you require, basically stay on top of matters as they affect you and I. My name is Sage Babalola. Once again, this is the Morning Express. It starts at 5 a.m. and concludes at 11 a.m. That's different segments of conversations that basically caters to whatever need you might require from radio. Well, for the start of the Morning Express, we usually provide you with insight into the news that broke, since the start of the week, basically. And for Trends in the Papers this morning, which is a segment of the Morning Express, what we do basically is take a look at our front pages and have conversations around it. So basically, this is Trends in the Papers. The news is usually fresh. It's all about diving deep into the latest newspaper headlines, analyzing the stories that are making the waves this morning from local as well. So if you're commuting, you're at home, you're prepping to go to work, or you're a remote worker, whatever it is you're doing at this time, we're able to still have you informed about the state of the nation. So whatever you need to start your day informed and inspired, you are on the right station. So stay tuned for the lively discussions. Fᴜʟʟᴏᴡ will be joining us in the papers. We'll begin to look at our dailies, the Punch, the Guardian, and the Vanguard mainland focus. This is where we give you an opportunity to also opine on the multiple stories that we have addressed. That's myself and Fᴜʟʟᴏ. My name is Sage Babalola, by the way. During mainland focus, all you have to do is call, introduce yourself, and also speak to the stories that have been selected for further analysis. But before we jump the gun, let's start by actually offering you those stories. Fouad, good morning to you. Thank you for being here. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning, Sage. How are you doing?
I'm well. I had a fantastic weekend, so I think I'm recharged for whatever the week would bring. I think I'm ready. I was able to format my memory very briefly from all the gory stories I had to review all through last week, and I think I'm prepped for today. Anyways, let's get into the stories for today. Fouad, we have the Punch, we have the Guardian, and the Vanguard newspaper. So let's kick off conversations with what we have on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Also, please forgive my manners. We are live on Facebook and on YouTube, so please join our live stream and also take advantage of the live chat option for your submissions in real time as well. Our streaming platform is Facebook and YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. We're streaming the program live, so you can watch everything going on, especially for those of you who don't have access to your terrestrial radio at this time. You can join us via social media. The handle once again is at Mainland 98.3 FM. So it's back to the papers now. We have on the front page of the Punch, Naira for crude. Federal government panel proposes 6-month supply for Dangote refinery. The rider to the story, refinery to get 24 million barrels in 2 months. Fresh concerns over NNPC's sole petrol buyer row, and that's what we have for Punch. Now, the story tells us that the supply of crude oil in Naira to the Dangote Petroleum Refinery by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited is to last for 6 months in the first instance, pending a further review by the Technical Subcommittee on Domestic Sales of Crude Oil in Local Currency. Multiple sources from the committee and the Dangote Refinery confirmed on Tuesday that the Naira for crude deal would last 6 months in the first phase because crude oil, being an international product, is priced in dollars. Meanwhile, Bloomberg reported on Tuesday that the federal government was set to deliver up to 400,000 barrels of Nigerian crude oil daily to the Dangote Refinery, which will mean over the next 2 months, for October-November, we would have about 24 million barrels of Nigerian crude oil supply between October and November 2024. So far, this is what we have. Contrary to popular opinion that this arrangement between Dangote and the NNPCL would be a lifetime thing or a lifelong thing, so to speak. It was a permanent arrangement. We now have information that this Naira for crude deal is actually just for 6 months, at least in the first phase. So after that 6 months, whatever happened next is subject to consideration by the Technical Subcommittee on Domestic Sales of Crude Oil in Local Currency. So maybe we shouldn't be too excited, because after 6 months, this deal might actually be reviewed or suspended because they have to pay attention to the global crude prices, the Brent price, and after 6 months they have to revert back to a status quo. And so far so good. Dangote would be entitled to about 400,000 barrels of crude oil. And between October and November, we have 24 million barrels of the crude that would be supplied to Dangote. Fᴜā, do you think 6 months of this arrangement is enough to turn the tide of Nigerians' current reality when it comes to crude oil pricing and also the supply?
Well, again, there's no reason why we should be working towards a 6-month arrangement. But again, as it is now, I'm sure Alhaji Aliko Dangote with his refinery would have no choice but to just take whatever comes. And like they always say, let's just start with this. Let's see how it goes. But ordinarily, there's no reason why we should be talking about a 6-month timeline for this particular direct. Yes, we know that crude oil is priced in dollars, but there are also, local arrangements and peculiarities, especially if you're an oil-producing nation. You can decide how you want to price your own retained crude oil production. When I say retain, now what you retain for your domestic consumption, if you understand what I'm saying. And the reason why oil-producing nations build refineries, have functional refineries, and encourage the building of functional refineries in their countries to also take care of things like this, where you are able to pull out your domestic needs out of the dollar conversation. You can always tinker with it. You can always decide how you want to manage the situation at the local level. That's why in different oil-producing nations of the world, you don't have a uniform pricing model. Yes, at the international market, it's priced in dollars, and there's that uniform pricing. But for oil-producing nations, there's always that differential. There's always that difference depending on the government policy on how to tackle different things. The subsidy conversation can come in. So many things comes in when it comes to pricing locally as an oil-producing nation. So, but again, I know, I'm sure in the minds of Alhaji Aliko Dangote, not a businessman that wants to run a business like this. You don't want to run a $20 billion business with so much uncertainty, without clarity, with bureaucracy of government policies that now takes forever for them to be implemented. And when they're implemented, it comes with so much ridiculous timelines and all. It's not the best for any business owner, not even at that level. If you understand what I'm saying, every business owner that is able to put $20 billion together, even something lesser than that, would want to run that business with some level of certainty and assurance that at least in the first instance, the product, the raw material to run the business, it will always be readily available without issues and bureaucracy as well as corruption of government. But that's not the situation there. That's why I think the corner of his mind will be regretting ever going into building this refinery. But again, it is what it is. This was a presidential directive that was supposed to start October 4th. We're already running towards the middle of October, and we are still talking about timelines. Why is this timeline conversation just coming now? If you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
Why is it just coming? Again, the committee that was set up to ensure the implementation of this policy had weeks, if not months, to decide how this was going to run. And we have thought that, look, because of the level of importance, the importance that's attached to this particular directive of the president, it was going to be at the start of the month, the 1st of October, we start to see things happen. As we speak, we are still talking about timelines. The Dangote people are still saying, well, we've gotten this information, but we have no clear, modality of how this is going to work. So, again, this, as an analyst, honestly, it continues to question the commitment of our leaders to solving problems like this. Whereas it's just more about we mouthing these things, getting people excited, and at the end of the day, when it comes to implementation, we begin to now tinker with it, and then the issue of vested interest comes in, and then it makes a mess of the whole thing. Because at the end of the day, what Nigerians are actually looking for, whether Dangote gets food in naira or in dollars, whether NFCC is the sole taker of the product or not, whether they are importing PMS into the country or not. Number one, Nigeria wants the product to be available. Let the product be available. At every point, we should, as an oil-producing nation, not suffer to get petroleum products. We should not be queuing for 2-3 hours, to get petrol. As an oil-producing nation, it's just straight. And the second thing is that, look, when it is available, let it be affordable, reasonably affordable, so that we can at least have some benefit as an oil-producing nation. Okay, the reason why we are buying this product at this price is because, look, it is our own natural resources that God has given to us free, that He has not given some other nation. So we should have that benefit in terms of pricing. What are the two things Nigerians are waiting for? Because, look, the confusion in the oil sector is enough, to run you ragged. It takes away all your intellect, it takes away your understanding of issues, because these guys know what they are doing. They are deliberate about creating confusion. It's so opaque. There's no transparency. You say this one today, they say another one tomorrow. If you read the story further, you understand why I'm talking this way this morning.
Well,
yesterday, an announcement was made about off-taking or not off-taking.
Well, I wanted us to take it in batches. So we do have here that marketers had said that they got information that NNPCL was not going to be the sole off-taker of the product from Dangote Refinery. But up until this very moment, neither the NNPCL or the management of Dangote Refinery has confirmed this particular claim. So as it stands, NNPCL is still the sole off-taker of the product. In fact, some marketers had already started to halt the sale of the product from their depots, so to speak, in anticipation of what that announcement was going to do to the pricing. But Dangote has said nothing about that. NNPCL has said nothing about that. So as it is, the status quo remains that NNPCL is still going to be the sole off-taker of the product. Fouad, what exactly is the reason for Dangote's silence? Especially Dangote, we understand that the NNPCL, they have an antecedent of not necessarily addressing issues at the core, but Dangote over the last couple months has tried his best to be as open as possible, but sometimes silence can mean agreement. Exactly, silence can sometimes mean agreement or complicity. So why exactly is Dangote not providing us with factual information?
Okay, let me tell you, let's go this way. You've set up a bakery, and then you are told that, look, okay, I set up a bakery, and it's the most important product for the bakery, say, it has to be the flour, right?
Yeah.
And then you suddenly discover that, look, to get the flour, you have to work with a particular association of flour producers or flour suppliers or something. And then they suddenly begin to stifle your business, give you all manner of ridiculous conditions. Don't do this, don't do that. Don't be surprised that at some point you now have to begin to pander to their own demands and begin to rub their ego. Whether you like it or not, the most sustainable way for the Dangote refinery to function optimally and profitably is for him to get the supply of crude oil locally. I'm telling you, it will not make any sense for him to continue to import crude oil, because look, the dollar pressure is going to come into it. All manner of things comes into it. Like we have said, you also have some level of vested interest at that level. So he knows that, look, the easiest way to run this refinery profitably for him is to have that guarantee of local supply of crude oil. You understand? And the fact again is this: we also have one of the best crude oils in the world. The quality of our crude is perfect. In fact, you remember that even the Dangote refinery said that, look, the refinery is built, designed, modeled to refine the Nigerian crude. If you understand what I'm saying,
Yes.
So if, because of all of these problems, he's not able to get the Nigerian crude, I'm sure that, look, it's just like, when you buy some vehicles, there are specifications on the engine oil that you must use. So he also understands that, look, I've done everything with the belief. Many people in government during the Buhari era assured him that this was not going to be a problem. Now there's a different government, they're singing a different tune. So, I refuse to tell us how much he sold refinery. Because my mind tells me there are areas you must not have openness and transparency. We have questioned in the past as to the conversation to that argument. Off-taker or no off-taker to Dangote refinery.
Barra camp opposes emergency rule as 3 killed. Edison local government secretariats suspect over the Ogba, Igbema, Ndoni councils, and the development disrupted the planned resumption of the 23 newly elected local. We're still seeing extreme violence in that particular state. One member of the and the swearing-in state, in fact, a number of individuals have started to call for about time for us to start considering stably and allow
first talk about common sense, bringing themselves, and there are some papers saying that 5 have been killed.
Similarly, for Barra's chief of
people have been killed. People been killed. And so today, when these two men wake up, because of their own truth, 5 people have been killed. And the way they are going, more people will most likely be killed. Because of, and I'll say to you, you also help me. We are playing kalu kalu with our democracy. See, you know, when you play kalu kalu with something, we are fasting with our democracy. We are changing it. It's unfortunate. There are Nigerians who have lost their lives for us to kick and take back the military into the barracks and keep them there. It took the sacrifice stage of Nigerians, well-meaning Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians. Some of them lost their lives. Also discovered that some of them, like, you know, in a movement, you always have, when the old people tell you, say, that some of these guys, what they've done, military guys, as bad as they were, ruled stand still. So remember that even now the man, quote and unquote, no, people talk about that, them repented. I say, no, I'm not going to go on with this. So we continue to castigate the one that decides that no useless agreement is that. Is that not what you are supposed to be supporting? That, oh, you enter the agreement too, but you later discover that this agreement will keep your people perpetually poor and slave to a so-called slave master who wants to continue to control the resources of the state. Or you think so politicians that are keeping structure. What is the purpose of the structure? This story of the Titanic. See, you know, after the person that built the Titanic said that even God cannot sink the Titanic. They were so sure of themselves. Sure of